Good afternoon. Welcome to the 330 Sports Show. I'm Justin Coffin. Across from me, Joe Danier. We're live at Youngstown Studio. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, 2025. A lot on the show. We're coming off the Super Bowl. We're going to get into that just here briefly. Yesterday, how about Jim Tressel, former guest of the show, former president, coach at Youngstown State, former national champion at Ohio State, named Lieutenant Governor of Ohio. So pretty cool. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit. We're going to get into the halftime show, which was very polarizing. Maybe you love it, maybe you hate it. And we're also going to get into the best of what's coming on TV and to the big screen as well in 2025. Some stuff's already out. Some stuff's really, coming soon here in 2025.
Well, every time you do one of these, I always get a show that I didn't even know existed, and it's always been 10 out of 10. So you make the best recommendations.
I hope to keep on that. And that's pressure. And there's some that maybe that aren't on my list that maybe someone could recommend to us, that because, if I made a list of 450 shows, but I try to narrow it down to 10 or 12 different things. And some I'm currently watching right now, and some are, not till November. So we'll get into that. But real just early thoughts on, or initial thoughts on the Super Bowl. It's kind of a dud of a game. It was kind of cool to see, the Chiefs dynasty knocked off, but the Eagles win 40-22. So what were your kind of just initial thoughts of the game, or how much of it, did you even care to watch of it,
I like football games where it's got me at the edge of my seat. I wonder what's going to happen. And this one, I was so just scrolling my phone, and it was on in the background. And every once in a while I look up and say, oh yeah, it looks like shit. Yeah. Even some more. So very disappointing from a presentation standpoint. So
every Super Bowl Pat Mahomes has won, they've been down 10 points. So was there any point in this game where it was 10-0, 17-0, where you're like, maybe he's just trying to challenge himself at any point in this game?
Well, and that's the thing. They missed, either the gameplay or the game plan against them was just so good. It was not the same team you watched all season long. And there was something way different. So I think they got outmaneuvered there. And so rebounding, I was hoping that they would say, all right, I see what they're doing. And then they would get, some kind of advantage back, but they just didn't do it.
Yeah. And really, I mean, I think the better team obviously won here. I think the Eagles were the superior team. Obviously, Kansas City had won the previous 2 Super Bowls. No team has ever won 3 in a row. Now, if you go back to the Green Bay Packers, they won the championship before the Super Bowl was created, and then they won Super Bowl 1 and 2. So technically, that's the last 3.
Oh no! As a Browns fan, they tell us those don't count.
Those don't count.
Those
right?
don't count. Yep. So F you, Packers.
Exactly. So yeah, we got to go back to 64 for the Cleveland Browns. But the Browns' impact on Super Bowl week was during media days with Myles Garrett and whatnot. But we'll talk maybe a little bit more.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
Do you think this is going to turn ugly, where it's going to be lots of drama and lots of breakup type of things?
I think, the Browns, people are like, well, he put that out there. That put the Browns in the bad spot. No, the Browns, he is under their contract. He is under their rights for the next 2 years. They could technically even franchise him the 3rd year after that. So, some people are saying it's a negotiation tactic. Some people are saying he really wants out. I think he really wants out based on what he was saying and doing in Media Row. And that was a bad look for him. And he kind of made the Browns organization look bad. It's not like the Browns are trying not to win. They just haven't had the right, pieces and parts really for 26 years.
Dude, just give him time. Why do you got to be so impatient?
But I will say, the Browns literally played a playoff game about 13 months ago. So it's not like the Browns haven't got to the playoff in the Myles Garrett. Only 25% of the time, 2 out of his 8 years, they have made the playoffs. But 2 of the last 5 years, they also have made the playoffs. This year, we all know was a dud. This year was bad. And we all know the Browns swung and missed, but at least they tried to get that quarterback. Now, They have a lot of decisions to make, and we'll get to those. There's plenty of time, but I don't think anything is going to happen that's imminent. But I do think, to go back to your initial question, I do think it'll probably get a little bit ugly. Yes. Waters will get a little bit murky, but it's happened before. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens were not in a good situation, and then he comes back and plays at an MVP level. So it can happen where they can fix the relationship. It is Valentine's Day week, so maybe they can send each other some flowers and get back together and work something out.
They might pull off something crazy too. I mean, honestly, in order to keep him and deliver him some semblance of the season.
Yeah.
Well, I can expect that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is available. Bring him in, baby.
I actually wouldn't think that's all that far-fetched. If Aaron, that again, we will see. The Super Bowl just happened. I think let's sit on this for a week. We'll revisit in a week and then go over the Browns options. But the Browns obviously have a quarterback need, and whether that is in the draft with Ward or Sanders or maybe Dart, or you trade back and get a later round quarterback, you bring in a veteran like Kirk Cousins, maybe I've heard even the name Matt Stafford thrown out there. But I don't think they're going to I don't know what they're going to do.
Big question. Would you take a veteran in a wheelchair as your quarterback over Deshaun Watson?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So Kirk Cousins? Or Aaron Rodgers,
all three of those, like Matt Stafford, Kirk Cousins.
I think any Browns fan is complete. Browns fans did not love Jameis Winston's interceptions, but they loved him at quarterback because he was fun to root for, and they made the team at least fun to watch. On offense, you didn't know if he was going to throw a pick or a 90-yard touchdown, and he threw for 300 yards sometimes for the Browns and 100 yards to the other team on a pick six. But at the very least, it was refreshing because those 4 or 5 games he played, the Browns offense was scoring some points. They beat the Ravens. They beat the Steelers in those games. They lost some games they shouldn't have lost to, but they played real competitive with the Broncos. That game went wire to wire on Monday Night Football. He threw for 500 yards in that game. So we'll see.
But it's hard to take that optimistic look at it. It's objective look. You're totally right.
The one thing I can tell you that Browns fans will be happy going into 2025, they don't have to worry about Deshaun Watson playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, because next year that is not on the table. And I think there's going to be some move to get him off the books, whether that, is a post-June 1 cut, or maybe he's on the roster all this year. He doesn't play, and then they just eat the money and then
move on,
push it down the road. So Browns fans, I think, can at least be optimistic that Deshaun Watson will not be on this team for very much longer. At least he might be on the books for a little while, but you won't have to worry about him being in a number 4 jersey and tainting your Phil Dawson love of the number 4 jersey for the Cleveland Browns. So
this might be the geriatric. We might bring back Phil Dawson, Aaron Rodgers,
yep.
Like we might have Joe Thomas on that left side.
Why not?
I would be happy.
And honestly, next year, if the Browns are either going to go one of 2 ways. Right now, they're at a little bit of a fork in the road. And, by the way, this was prefaced by the Super Bowl, and the Browns are trying to get to the Super Bowl. Let's not make any mistake about that. However, they have to determine what their route to the Super Bowl is. Do you try to immediately fix the problem, bring in a veteran quarterback and build the roster up around him? Or do you take a step back for a year or 2, build back up that roster, maybe trade some of your best assets, and then draft a rookie in the first round, lose some of your veterans, some of that money comes off the cap, and then you're rebuilding the roster with a younger roster, and you're supplementing with draft picks, and then maybe in 2 or 3 years from now you're ready to go at that Super Bowl again.
And I think that if I were to take a deep Podesta angle on this,
I don't think he's going to be around anymore.
But a mathematical approach on this, all right? So when you look at logically, that you overinvested in somebody who didn't pan out.
Yeah.
And you got starved of draft picks to be able to build that around. Like the obvious thing is to say, okay, well, there's my void right there. Is I new blood into the system I was deprived of. And it put a lot of pressure on the ones that weren't part of that. The more ancient players on the squad. But so that's what I would do. I would accumulate the shit out of draft picks, put the old quarterback to bed, and then make it a 3-year plan to be able to bounce back from that.
And I kind of lean towards that because I would rather this team. I'm sort of in the trade Miles, get 2 first rounders or a first, a second, and maybe next year's first round pick for him, and build your roster up that way. Maybe you trade some other veterans that are expensive but aging, and then you supplement with youth, and then like you said, you build that for down the road for the next 2-3 years.
Yeah, and here's the biggest hurdle. Like once you swing and miss on a big package like that for a quarterback, the next time you want to do that, let's just say somebody became available and the brass said, hey, let's make this, like everybody's gonna say no freaking way, because I'm gonna get fired if I miss twice.
Here's the thing with the Deshaun Watson thing. Well, and here's the thing with Andrew Berry. Do you want to be the guy that trades for Deshaun Watson and trades away Myles Garrett? I don't know if you can keep your job after that. No, you know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
So I don't know what he's thinking. He's a lot smarter than I am, but I don't think that would be a good look for a GM. So, but you got to do what you got to do to win.
But if you get something absurd for the trade, that's all the difference. If you get equal value, then no way, keep them under contract.
And this Super Bowl was a perfect example of Jalen Hurts. Okay, Jalen Hurts was, I believe, a 2nd round quarterback. He was benched at Alabama, replaced by Tua, ended up transferring to Oklahoma, and then came to the Philadelphia Eagles and won the job there, I believe, in his 2nd year. But he has taken the Eagles to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. Is he the best quarterback in the league? No, but they have built that roster around him in the run game. They've given him some dynamic receivers. He's got a really good tight end. And what's the strength of that team? They have the best defensive line in football. So that is what did it. You look on the other side of the coin, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, not really that great of receivers. Kelsey, we know, is a good tight end, but he's getting up there. I could see him retiring or playing maybe one more year, and their defense is pretty solid. So you got good quarterbacks on both, but you have no one's going to argue Jalen Hurts is better than Patrick Mahomes. But Patrick Mahomes didn't have the time to throw the ball in this game. Jalen Hurts made some plays with his legs. I think he rushed for the most yards in the Super Bowl, but the defense was also keen on Saquon Barkley, who is more of like your explosive big play running back, but you also have those threats outside at receiver with with Brown and with Devontae Smith, and you got Dallas Goedert as a good tight end. The Eagles are just a loaded roster, and there's 2 different ways to look at that. So the Browns go, we got to try to nail the quarterback, or do you go with like a Patrick Mahomes type, which who knows? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. People forget Patrick Mahomes too was like, I think he was the 10th or the 11th or the 12th pick in the draft. It's not like he went first or second. So you can get these guys, but when they're there, you got to get it. You got to hit it. And that's why the Browns have the 1st or the 2nd pick in the draft this year. If they identify one of those guys as the quarterback of the future, I think you have to take them. So, and if you don't, then you take either the best player or you trade back. So we'll plenty of Browns questions, and we'll get into that.
Well, and I really like over the last couple of years, they fetched some veteran wide receivers, $1 or $2 million for a 1-year deal, and they performed when at that level. So let's just say you fill all your holes with a couple of those veterans, get you through the year with something that's a 500 season. And then you have time to be able to buy your way into something you're a playoff contender or more. Yeah.
And there's so many routes and so many options and so many decisions that have to be made. And I'm glad I'm not the person doing it because I have my ideas. And although you could say me and you or fan X could have made some better choices along the road. And most people back then would have said, oh, and let me go back real quick to the Deshaun Watson point. If you swing and miss on a quarterback, that's one thing, because at least you're trying. But the only reason he became available was the off the field stuff. And that has to linger over this fan base, because, and you're kind of giving up some moral authority there. You're kind of giving up on, it's like so hard to root for the Browns now, because we were the lovable losers for a while. Everybody felt like, oh, they're fun underdog, and then we got good, and then it's like, this team's fun, this team, and then all of a sudden you bring in Watson, and it's like, I kind of feel dirty, I don't like rooting for this team, blah blah blah.
Almost like Ray Lewis was for the blemishes your brand.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But Ray Lewis is a Hall of Famer, and he played like it from when before that happened to after that happened. But Deshaun Watson seemingly has lost it up here, and he's had 2 major injuries as well. So,
well, Ray Lewis was running from the law, so that was his job, is to run hard, because he could find prison.
Did you know Nick Sirianni, the Philadelphia Eagles head coach, was from Mount Union? I knew I had heard that before, but I guess I never fully put it together. But yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles coach, Nick Sirianni, a Mount Union grad, former football player there. So congratulations to him. He is. And, I think he's been now to 3 Super Bowls. So pretty awesome, pretty awesome for him. And he's got a pretty good future ahead of him too.
Well, and that, honestly, if I'm the Browns, I bring in good consultants from winning programs to really take.
Where Andrew Berry came from?
Where?
The Eagles.
Right.
So, I mean, they're trying. But
so I would bring in, someone like from Mount Union. They put, college program together like it's
right
next to none. And your mom is a good. your mom is a very good judge of moral character.
Well, she could maybe sit in on the interview.
What would she have saved the Browns from if she had weight in the decision making?
Well, they wouldn't have traded for Watson.
$240 million no, right?
Exactly.
So she would have saved.
She would have said, invest that money in Baker Mayfield or draft a quarterback.
See?
Yep.
That would have been good advice.
Yeah. So she would have definitely been a better GM on March 17th, 2022 than Andrew Berry was.
Yep.
So
go Jenny.
Yeah. So, all right, real quick. The real MVP, I think, of this game, the Super Bowl. So let me throw out a crazy stat I heard today. So the Eagles blitzed 0 times in the game, none. So they got after Patrick Mahomes with just their front 4. So that's why I said the real MVP of this game is the Eagles front 4, and they dominated. And a lot of those guys are from Georgia, and Georgia had the best defense in college football in 2021 and 2022. A lot of those guys are from that program, and that's where you go. You would take those great caliber players from winning programs, like you were talking about. If when in doubt, take a guy from a big name school that is used to winning and knows what it takes. But going back to the Eagles, they blitzed 0 times, and 6 teams have done that in the 59-year history of the Super Bowl. All those teams are 6-0. So what does that tell me? That tells me if you build your defensive line and have a dominant front 4, you're probably putting yourself in a good spot to win the Super Bowl.
So Myles Garrett for the front 4 of the Eagles, you take that deal any day of the week.
Yes, right? I will trade that. 100%. I will take Myles Garrett for the front 4 of the Eagles. Yeah. Yes. And hey, they got a great one back, but you truly need 4. Absolutely. Especially those big run stoppers in the middle. And the Browns have Dalvin Tomlinson, but you got to get. And that's another theory. Maybe, hey, if you get a good veteran quarterback, you draft Abdul Carter from Penn State. You got Myles Garrett and Abdul Carter, and maybe you get one more run stuffer or a couple good backup guys on your D line. Who knows? But I think obviously football people know winning is done on both sides of the ball, on the offensive and defensive lines. So that's where those guys don't get enough credit, because it's not like the sexy position. You're not catching touchdowns, you're not rushing the ball, you're not the quarterback, but they affect the quarterback in such a way that it wins and loses games, and this time it happens to be the Super Bowl. So,
do you want some bourbon, by the way? Like
I'll take a little bit.
A smidge?
I'll take a scotch.
A
I'll
scotch.
take a little scotch. So while Joe is going to pour me some bourbon, here's a really cool trivia question, and I put it out there on social media, and a few people got a few answers. One guy nailed it with all 4, but Devontae Smith. Let's do Buffalo Trace here. Devontae Smith, wide receiver, number 6 of the Philadelphia Eagles, is now the 5th player to win the Heisman Trophy, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. Only 4 other players have done it previous to Devontae Smith. I knew off the top of my head, I knew 2 of them, but I did not know the other 2. But Devontae Smith is now the 5th player to win a Heisman, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. The other 4, Reggie Bush won the Heisman and national championship at USC. Another USC guy, Marcus Allen, and then he won it with the Raiders. Tony Dorsett actually played and won a national championship at Pitt. A lot of his career, I believe, was known with the Cowboys, but in his rookie year, he played for the Denver Broncos, and they won a Super Bowl. And then Charles Woodson. Unfortunately, he won that at Michigan. Charles Woodson's an Ohio guy, but won the national championship, I believe, in '97 with Michigan, won the Heisman, and then on to win a Super Bowl with the then Oakland Raiders. So 2 Raiders on that list. Reggie Bush won it with the Saints. Dorsett, I mentioned, with the Broncos, and now Devontae Smith with the Eagles. I thought that was kind of a cool trivia question there. So, all right, Joe.
Yep.
We're going to get into the halftime show.
Okay.
So the halftime show is a very, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this because I did a little social experiment on Sunday. So I made a post before the halftime show even started, and I said, here comes the boomer takes, because every single year, no matter who the artist is, I don't care. Last year, I think it was Rihanna, and, we had, Dr. Dre and Snoop before, but you've had like Katy Perry and you've had some other big names before. But this year was Kendrick Lamar. And if you're not familiar with his music, he is more of like an artistic. He's not like the radio, like get the big hits on the radio. That's not his style. He is more of like an artistic, lyrical. I mean, everybody's lyrical, but you know what I mean? Like he puts a lot of art and thought into his music. I'm pretty sure he won what's that called? The Pulitzer Prize for like I don't know what category, music or whatever. But I think back in 2018, he won a Pulitzer Prize because, his lyrics are really, really good. But overall, just your thoughts on the halftime show. And I don't really care which way you go. Good, bad, ugly, best ever, worst ever. I'm just curious what your thoughts are before I share some stuff.
It wasn't for me. Like, that's not my flavor. Like, I don't begrudge, and there's somebody in the stands that were totally stoked over what they were seeing, and that was for them. No problem.
Yeah.
Like, do I think that, as a brand, the halftime show should appeal to more people than just picking a genre? So if I pull out some cowboy and have him sing about cows, there's going to be people in the stands that are going to be like, what the hell did I just witness? Okay. So that's my take on it. Yeah. Maybe next year I'll get something that I like.
Yes, I agree. And that's kind of where I was going to. Is Kendrick Lamar my favorite music? By no means, no. Did I think this was the worst halftime show ever? No. Did I think it was the best ever? No. I would put it somewhere just like you said. I like Kendrick Lamar's music, but it doesn't speak to me like maybe it speaks to someone else, and that's totally fine. What I think, a couple things. First of all, the one complaint I would have is I think his mic wasn't loud enough. So he has a really cool voice, but I didn't think that translated through at least my TV speakers, into my ear. So I heard a lot of people saying I couldn't hear what he was saying. I couldn't hear what he was singing. I think that was one of the issues. He didn't even play a couple of his most popular songs. He played his most popular song, which, do you know about the whole thing with him and Drake?
My son told me about it.
Yeah. And like Kendrick Lamar has now become this huge popular with your son's age, like really from like, I don't know, 10 to 20-year-olds. Like he is huge, and like, probably up to, 10 to 30, we'll say is his target demographic. But like he had the #1 song of the year, Not Like Us, last year, but he is in a lawsuit right now, not him particular, but like the record label with him and Drake, who are both under the same label. I don't know if it's Sony or what it is, but are you familiar with
I heard all the drama. And so like there were a couple of things that were stated that alluded to without specifically saying it, and there were specifically,
when he's saying A minor, he's not saying a musical note.
Nope not at all.
So the whole lawsuit, if you're not familiar, basically Drake is saying, hey, this guy is calling me a pedophile. He's calling me a pedophile, and he's making it. It's not. So he's basically saying it's a slanderous. Like it went back and forth. These two actually toured together way back when. But Drake's from Canada. He was like a pop star and or like a TV star for a while, and he kind of like a little bit more bougie from Toronto. Kendrick Lamar's from Compton, California, grew up on the rap guys out there. But these two have battled back and forth, and just like the lyrics, and they actually got to the point where like they're actually using each other's names now. Like rap battles, again, that's not your and my like genre, generally speaking, but it is kind of fun to see how it's gone back and forth. But apparently it crossed the line a little bit when he's basically calling Drake a pedophile. And on his album, I think it's a picture of Drake's house from like an aerial view, from like a drone shot. And you know how they have like the map of like listed sex offender, like it basically looks like that. And
well, in the future, let's just say it plays out that Drake is a pedophile. Like it's not a battle anymore. He was trying to freaking tell us something.
That could be true. Or maybe not at all.
Right,
exactly. So I don't know. I just thought, what I will say, what I loved about the halftime show, first of all, I love Sam Jackson. So anytime he's in it, I think that's cool. But the artistic, just the choreography, the stage with like the street lamps and stuff in there, I thought was awesome. And again, my wife and a few other people liked his bell-bottom jeans that were they loved that. But I don't know, his music again is really good. Isn't my favorite? No. But I thought it was cool. Let me take
exception to you taking aim at the boomers here for they don't like it, and they said that they don't like it. So, are you not allowed to not like something?
So no, you are absolutely not allowed to like. You are absolutely it's your right to vote for you want, the music you want, whatever clothes you want to wear. It is your right to do you. You do you, whatever that means. The one thing I saw somebody else put it out there, so I kind of borrowed it from them. But they said, here's a list of people that don't like the halftime show, and it was all white guys with glasses that look like they just came from a MAGA rally.
They are allowed. All right, so is there?
And again, I'm not making this political. It was just a funny observation.
Are there any foods that you absolutely don't like?
Yeah, cilantro.
Okay,
which is really not a food; it's a goes-in food. So yeah.
Name a real food, like a restaurant entree that you just
like people like lamb. I don't really like lamb.
All right, so lamb.
Okay,
right? You go into a restaurant and they are celebrating the lamb that day, and you're like, "What the fuck?" Now I got to eat something off the appetizer menu.
Yeah,
it's gonna have soy in it.
Okay,
I'm not gonna enjoy myself. Look at all these people really liking this.
Yeah,
and then you go on social media and saying, hey, you know what? Lamb Stop sucks, right? It's terrible. And I'm like, boomer, why don't you like lamb? Look at you, white boy. not liking Lamb. Like, now I'm mocking you for your preferences.
Yeah.
If I want to hate Kendrick Lamar, I'm going to hate Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
It's not my taste. Like, and I do want to begrudge you.
You're getting a little
because
mad.
you went to freaking Lamb Stop in order to, and now you're pissed off.
So
Lamb's being served.
So here's my thing.
Yeah.
That was good.
Thank you.
That was good. Lamb Stop. New restaurant in town?
Yes,
okay. That's probably really popular with the Greeks or with,
100%.
Okay. So now I've just isolated another group. But the point of this is no matter who the artist is, white, black, country, pop, rap, whatever, people are going to bitch about it. And it's just the way things are. And that's why I did the social experiment of saying boomer alert, because no matter who it is, next year it could be Taylor Swift. People are going to hate it or they're going to love it. Kendrick Lamar, people are going to hate it or they're going to love it.
All right, so
because people bitch.
Next year, I'm bringing out an opera singer, and that is going to be it. So everybody who's fat, like cilantro, like charcuterie boards, are going to be loving
charcuterie boards.
They're going to be loving it.
Yes.
And then you get to say like, oh, it wasn't for me. So these all this whatever strata I just
so next year during the Super Bowl party, it's Pavarotti. Pavarotti. So we have our charcuterie board. I'm gonna drink some wine.
Cilantro.
I'm gonna put my feet. No cilantro.
No, it's there.
Okay, well, I will scrape that shit off. Okay, nobody likes cilantro. So if he sings Conte Partio, the Step Brothers song from the Catalina wine mixer, that's all I need.
But those people in the stands are like looking around like, what the fuck is this? Are you going to make fun of them and say, oh, what, you don't like this?
Maybe.
Fine.
That's a good time. Good time to get up and take a pee break. Because we all damn well know who it is, because it's brought to you by Apple Music. It used to be Pepsi, I think, before that. But we all know who it is. And a lot of people are like waiting for like, oh, will it be a surprise? Because it was like Aerosmith the one year, but then Britney Spears came out and it was like, oh, a bunch of old farts that are past their prime. Oh, but let's bring out this hot young 20-year-old girl and she'll like sex it up or whatever. So I don't know.
And they did find out that if you show a tit like that, goes over Janet, for everybody.
That's when I think, when
they learned something.
They tried to go young with Justin Timberlake, and then he pulled out Janet Jackson's boob and they went back old.
Ask all of those boomers out there if they like the halftime show and they're like, it was kind of good.
Yeah.
Like, didn't know the song, but kind of good.
Yeah.
See, you got to mix it up a little bit. So should you be able to, as the average Super Bowl viewer, be able to sing along with the songs that are being performed on the stage?
Well, I agree with your point you made earlier of I think the Super Bowl didn't do a good job this year because Kendrick Lamar was singing to his audience. He wasn't trying to appeal to a mass crowd, that's cool. Good for him. But again, that's on the Super Bowl. If you want,
well, let me correct you.
Or BJ,
BJ shared this with me.
Okay.
Artists that are looking to promote their brand, they actually pay and they bid for the halftime show.
Oh, is that true?
It's anybody willing to put
so
up
they're
money
not
for
paid.
Yeah. So Pavarotti, right?
Yeah.
Might be like, I want my brand, and he might be on that stage. That's all it's gonna take.
I'll tell you, like, I'm watching regardless of who's on. That's my like. I love it. So
I blame the NFL for a lot of things. But them choosing it was not really on them.
So I will say, what they should have some sort of process to say, okay, we'll take our submissions, but we're gonna go with who we think is the most popular for our 100 million viewers.
Exactly.
Watch,
that would be a better model, because like you watch Saturday Night Live and the bands they book are people that everybody likes seeing anyway, draws people to them, and everybody's like, all right, I tuned in because that's what I wanted to see.
And whether that is a Chris Stapleton or a Drake or pick your pop star, they're going to appeal to a mass audience, but some people from an audience that might not like that type of music, might not like pop music, might not like rap music, might not like country music. It's always going to turn some people off. So at the end of the day, we're not going to make everyone happy. It's going to make the fans of that artist probably happy, but maybe you catch some people in the middle that aren't really don't care either way. So
yeah. Well,
that's where I think you go with the most popular.
Let's just say you take a 13-year-old girl who's a cancer survivor and sings the Blues Clues theme song, and that would have went over better than Kendrick Lamar. 100%.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the stands would have cheered on that girl. That's what you got to do.
Probably. That's pretty specific. Is she bidding on the Super Bowl next year?
I will finance her.
Okay.
I will fund her
okay.
to sing Blues Clues. And we will love her for it.
Maybe she could sing like classic like
Pink Floyd or
nursery
something.
Rhymes or like or just even popular music. So
she would sing The Wall. So, that would be freaking phenomenal.
Call your shot next year.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea. Because I'm gonna go through my favorites real quick. I'm gonna just fire them off. But next year, call your shot. What genre of music is
I like hybrid. I like when you take like a rock and a rap and you fuse Run DMC, Aerosmith, Metallica, and somebody.
I'm glad you said that, because I think that's what they're gonna do too. I think they're gonna marry country and rap or pop.
You got Beyonce now, like she's making country tunes.
Yeah. And she had a hell of a halftime show before. In fact, nice transition, because here's my personal favorite list.
Oh yeah.
So my favorite number one was U2 back in 2002.
I hate them, but I appreciate it.
I personally don't love U2 as a band. However, do you know why that one is at the top of my list?
Why? Because
that came right after 9/11. That Super Bowl actually was in New Orleans as well. And they did, I think it was the Streets Have No Name. And they had a list of every single person that had died in New York, Washington, Pennsylvania, and those terrorist attacks. And it was like literally like it's still to this day gives me chills. So that's why I had that at the top of my list, because that was like something like a core memory I'll remember. Do I love U2 and Bono? No. I think they're very talented. I like some songs, but they're not like, they wouldn't be near the top of my favorite band list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Boner is very political and he ruins it for me. Like,
right. So the South Park had a great Bono spoof off, but I will still say that performance, not U2 itself, but that performance in the Super Bowl, that's why that was my favorite, just because it had that awesome memory. Snoop and Dr. Dre. I mean, that was only 2 years ago. That was awesome.
All right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So number two is fitting for Snoop Dogg. Yeah. What is special about Snoop Dogg? Like as an artist, Dr. Dre, I see he's done a lot in that community.
Yeah.
He's done great for music, but Snoop Dogg is like overrated as shit.
I think, and I can see where you're coming from, because he was like Mr. Olympics this past year. Like they just put him in every event. He was like Mr. America, but he's got to be pushing like 60 years old, right? Like, so he's not like this young guy. Like his best albums came out in 1990.
He's cool. I get that.
Really
he
cool.
Resonates with every generation.
And I think that's why.
Yeah.
I think because Black people, white people, old, young can kind of relate to him. I think he's just like, I am who I am, like take it or leave it. And I think that's why he's popular. So, but you're right.
You substitute out Cheech Marin, right? And so a dude that's counterculturalist, smokes a little bit too much weed, has some coolness to it, but is also funny. Like
no stage presence though. On like with
it doesn't matter. We don't care about stage presence.
With
like
music.
When we're transcending generational divides.
Yeah.
Like Cheech Marin is way better than Snoop Dogg.
I disagree wholeheartedly. I never got into those movies either, so I don't know. So
boomer.
No, I'm an anti-boomer. What am I?
Millennial.
I'm a
freaking millennial.
I think I am a millennial. You're a millennial too, aren't you?
No, I'm Z.
Oh, you're before me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right before me. Isn't that
a couple years separation?
Yeah. We were so like real close. How about the Prince one? What do you think about
that?
Prince?
Was great. Prince is a master.
Because I think he did that one he was on his own. But that one was literally in the rain in Miami, singing Purple Rain and all that stuff. That was awesome. Well, let me ask you this before I go through. I'm going to just fire through the rest of this real quick. What's your favorite? Like, do you have one that stands out, or do you not really
Aerosmith?
care?
Like, it's the one that when I think Super Bowl, I think Aerosmith.
And
like,
Britney Spears again was in that one. So
yeah, that was perfect hybridization between different genres that somehow managed to work.
Okay, I can respect that. They did not make my list.
Damn you, Justin.
Michael Jackson, though. Michael Jackson, 93.
Yeah, that was famous.
And that one was in the Rose Bowl. That was going way back. But everybody, Michael Jackson, again, that's one of those weird situations. It's like you kind of feel like weird. Like if you watch the Cosby Show and you liked it when you're younger, it has a different feel now with Bill Cosby. Michael Jackson, like back then, like who doesn't like the song Thriller or Beat It or Billie Jean or something like that? But it's like, and you're like, Michael Jackson, he's a little like weirdo, creepy, but
like Drake,
but like Diddy, I wouldn't put Drake in the same camp as them unless those accusations come to fruition.
Dude,
so
I don't think he would say it if it weren't true. Like, I suspend your disbelief until the Epstein list comes out, and that's it.
Well, you think Drake's on the Epstein list?
Metaphorically,
okay.
All pedos and entertainment and music and whatever will be known.
Okay. Okay.
Conspiracy series 330 Sports Show.
Oh boy. Yeah, we'll get to that in the off season because football really drives a lot of our content on this show. When you get to the off season, you have a little bit more fun.
What about UFL? Are you going to put any time into UFL?
UFO?
UFL.
Oh, UFO.
You know that
I'll be more interested in the UFOs or UPAs than UFLs. No,
maybe we'll do a show covering UFOs and UFLs.
Yeah, maybe if like there's a YSU guy or something that catches on with the UFL, maybe we'll try to get him on or something. But I probably won't be spending much time on that. I like college.
I love off-season football. Like XFL was my favorite thing to watch. They were a little different.
To me, it's like I need a break. I need I love football so much, but it really is a long season because really, I mean, you're starting that last week of August when it really starts to count up until, I mean, we're talking like, Valentine's Day. You're in 6 months. So it's I like to have a little reset with football, especially. Football is the great American pastime now. It's surpassed baseball. It's by far the most popular sport in America, but it's you need time away from stuff to appreciate it too.
So if 12 months out of the year you had some kind of football to watch, you would bow out and take a break from it.
Okay, but you're talking football on the field. Me and you are going to be talking about what's going to happen with the Browns draft, what's going to be happening with free agency, what are they going to do with Myles Garrett. So football truly is a 12-month a year sport.
The anticipation.
Yes. There's so much moving parts that happen that it's always in the forefront of the conversation, no matter if the games are being played on the field or not. So no UFL, no XFL for me. If something good comes up, we can have some conversations about that. But until then, no, I won't be looking at the XFL or UFL, USFL media guides or anything like that. But
name what? I'm going to give it a shot because I want that league to survive. Like if my viewership means that you have a farm league for the NFL.
Well, farm league's college football.
This will be if it's all washouts, then it's not a farm league. If it's people that just don't quite get to the draft and want to really show their skills and they make it not WWF wrestling kind of thing.
Earn some money.
For sure.
Yeah.
And then they get recruited into NFL, that's a whole different game.
Exactly.
It's not there yet.
I agree with that. Yeah. And it is really nice, especially for guys that are really good at football, maybe not quite NFL good, but it gives them a showcase and maybe they get that chance to take it to the next level. And you can earn some money doing it while you're still playing a sport that you love. So let me fire through the rest of this list real quick. And no, just tell me if you agree or disagree with anything on here. So Bruno Mars, great performer.
He's a bum.
Lady Gaga, 2017.
Respect.
Okay.
That's it.
Great voice. She is a great performer. And did you by chance see, New Orleans had that January 1st attack, the little terrorist drive. It was bad situation. A lot of people died. But that she did a piano performance like on Bourbon Street. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, so, actress, musician, very talented.
Yeah, she's. I don't want to be negative. Okay. She's a really good singer. Bruce Springsteen, E Street Band, that was a good one.
Great nostalgia.
Way back. There's your Beyonce, but Destiny's Child came out too. That was also in New Orleans, 2013.
Hot all the way around. So if you want to nail the hot thing, like that's your lineup.
Oh yeah, yeah. Tom Petty. Tom Petty to me, I don't know about you. Do you have like a music regret of like a band you never saw? Like Tom Petty is that for me. I would have loved to go see Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Obviously, I think it was 2019 he passed away, so won't get that chance again. But that'd be a band I would have loved to seen live.
He was okay. Like in the era where hormones were raging, like Tom Petty served the purpose. Performer wise, like he's okay.
Really,
like, Bob Dylan, Tom Petty has that unique.
Bob
sound.
Dylan's really gone downhill.
Yeah, for sure.
Really gone downhill. But but what an amazing writer, and back in the day,
I have
when he
respect.
had a voice,
just like the other ones, I have respect for. If he was on the halftime show, like I'd be just like, this is cool.
Yeah,
not my flavor.
Okay, all right. Madonna, that's one that's like maybe not something I would generally listen to a lot. Madonna had some really popular songs, especially in the 80s. But like they brought her back in 2012 and she did a hell of a job. So
yeah, she's a douchebag. Like
she's weird.
Yeah.
She's very weird.
1980s, 90s Madonna, countercultural,
and you know what?
Push on the limits of things, whatever. Now she's an old broad.
She went to Michigan too, so let's scratch her off the list.
Madonna's cut.
Shakira and J-Lo. This was just a few years ago. This was the COVID year, 2020.
Dude, I would invite them into my living room. Shakira is one of those like hall passes.
You wouldn't be the only one. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to book her for the next 10 seasons, I'm in.
Did you? I mean, we can't play it on here, but for copyright issues. But if you haven't seen Shakira lately, just go Google her latest performance at the Grammys. She's over 50 years old. Just look what she's doing.
She's a 9'10" in her 50s. Like that's an accomplishment.
Oh my God. Yeah. She's very impressive. And then I put the two to round out the list, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, the wardrobe malfunction year. That was 2004.
Did you put that in quotes?
I just didn't know.
It was accidental.
Yeah.
Dude.
Slip of the nipple.
It was genius. It was the most revered marketing strategy for both those artists in the history of Super Bowl.
Now,
shows.
like I wasn't recording that game or anything, so I'm sure that you can go back and like find it, but like I never actually saw anything, but like I'm sure people out there did.
Your boomers clutched their pearls and it was the worst day of their lives.
Not my boomers.
Millennials didn't care. Like they were okay.
No, because I mean 2004, I mean, I'm a senior in college in 2004, so I'm loving it.
Were you taken aback or the nipple was all right?
Oh, like hell yeah, let's go. Let's see both of them.
Janet was at the top of her freaking game. So that was perfection.
And then Rihanna last year. Rihanna was pregnant last year when she did it. She's up on wires. No? Yeah.
Rihanna
is one of the most beautiful women in the world. Yeah.
Dude, I watch Umbrella.
Great voice.
I watch Umbrella at least once a week just for Rihanna. Like that's I'm bearing my soul here with you.
If I created a Joe calendar of quotes for the year, that might be January 1st. I watch Rihanna once a week to watch Umbrella. I don't know. I know the song. I don't know if I've seen the video.
Dude, I watch the video and you're gonna be like, oh. Okay.
All right.
Yeah,
that's Rihanna, Umbrella. I'll look.
She's on my hall pass.
I mean, she's obviously so Shakira and Rihanna are your.
That's it.
How many get on your list? How
Blake
many are you?
Lively, Rihanna, and
I don't know if we're gonna have time for it, but I do have a Blake Lively thing later.
Okay.
If we get to it, if not, we'll shelve it for next week.
Okay.
There's plenty to get to. All right. Let's
see. You're catering to me now.
Oh, I know.
This halftime show is the best halftime show ever.
So your halftime show would be Rihanna, Shakira. Who else would you put in there?
Blake Lively. Like she doesn't.
I don't know if she could sing,
but if the three of those are making out and they don't even sing a song, all they do is make out for 15
minutes
with light posts and on the field. I don't know. This Gen Z would support it.
Okay. Moving on. Hypothetical question for everybody out there, you included. Me and you are going to answer this.
Okay.
Should the Super Bowl be moved to Saturday, or should the Monday after the Super Bowl be a national holiday? If you could, or it just stays the same. So A, B, or C. So A, should the Super Bowl move to Saturday? Maybe you played Saturday night. People can sleep in Sunday. Should it be make Monday? B, make Monday a national holiday, or C, just leave it as it is? What say you?
From a productivity standpoint, like you have the Super Bowl on a Sunday and you have 8% of people that call off the next day because they partook too much during the Super Bowl. I wouldn't mind it being some kind of national holiday. That's meaningful. It's that meaningful in civilization and culture. We got to pay homage to it.
What I would suggest is, and this is because I had time to think about this because I set up the question, but I think in those particular cities, if you keep it on Sunday, or if you pledge your allegiance to that team, you should get the next day off. Or, and if you're like someone that has to be at work, that's one thing. You can't take off if you're a doctor having surgery in the morning or something like that. But if you pledge your allegiance to that team and it's in the Super Bowl, and usually there's a 2-week buildup now to the Super Bowl, that you could pull some strings where, hey, all right, Ben's a
I'm going to defend the boomers here.
Yeah.
Right. And so, like, if you have a halftime show with Beyonce, Blake Lively, tongue kissing during the Super Bowl, is that not good enough reason to take the next day off? Like, that was your Super Bowl.
Well, that's the Super Bowl for most Browns fans because we haven't ever been to a Super Bowl. But
that is right.
But here, so I'm sorry. You would
deprive me.
Blake Lively and Shakira fans do not get the next day off.
Why?
I'm sorry, because you gotta work. You could watch the Super Bowl and the game starts around 6:30, so the halftime show's around 8:30. That's a normal night. Go to bed after that if you're not watching the game.
Us boomers, like, we go to bed at 10:30. Like, you're
beyond. You can still go to bed at 10:30. You'd still
with the vision of Blake Lively tongue kissing Beyonce and Rihanna. Like, I don't know if I can sleep.
I think you slipped Beyonce in there. I don't think she was part of your original list.
It's all good. It's all good.
Okay. All right. So what? just give me a damn answer on this one.
Okay. All right. What's the question?
Move it to Saturday. Move it to Saturday.
Yes.
Holiday on Monday, or keep it the same.
Keep it the same and holiday on Monday.
Okay.
If there's tongue kissing.
Okay.
I have an asterisk. Like, it's meaningful to me. Like, you put Drake or Kendrick Lamar on the halftime
only
show,
on those years when it's those
hot
artists?
Girls kissing. 100%. Federal holiday predicated on whether or not there's a tongue kiss.
Joe's showing its perv side today on the show, and I love it. A little bourbon, a little liquid confident. I think so. Kansas City, Philadelphia this week, they should declare a holiday for the next day, the week of, so like give those employees the week off that week. And then, but like, if you're a Kansas City fan and you're living in Washington, D.C., or you're living in Mobile, Alabama or something, it's like, just call off or make plans because, whatever. I mean, how often, if you're a Chiefs fan, it seems to happen a lot that you get to the Super Bowl. If you're a Browns fan, the entire next week should probably be off, win or lose, because maybe even the week before, because they'll lead up to the Super Bowl. It is special. And
the Dallas Cowboys or the Kansas City Chiefs win. It's just like, oh, you get a day.
Yeah.
Browns win, or somebody who's been deprived of a championship.
Even Steeler fans have what, 6? They have 6 Super Bowls. New England's got 7.
You get an hour off. You get a 2-week delay if you're a Steelers fan.
Oh, I think Steelers always say 1 for the thumb, right? So do they have 5? And New England has 6 because Tom Brady has 7. New England has 6. and then Tom Brady won the 7th with Tampa. So either way, New England Patriots, Kansas City Chiefs, even Philadelphia Eagles. They've won 2 in the last like 6 years. Come on, like get out of here. Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Pittsburgh hasn't won one in a long time though. So let's hope that stays true. Do you want to do some TV stuff here before we go? Okay. So
I love these. Like I would never pass the opportunity to talk about great television.
And we can revisit this, but then we'll maybe just go through like quick and not like go through each show like a whole lot. But I try to come up with lists throughout the year, like maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year, of like what I'm watching or what I'm liking right now. To me right now, the best show on TV is Severance. It is on
100%.
Apple TV. The cast is unbelievable. It's directed by Ben Stiller, which is insane. But the show Severance. Now, if you are not familiar, I'm not going to get into any spoilers or anything like that. But this show was like, I think it first came out in 2021, and it just came back at the beginning of 2025. So we're talking like almost a 3-year absence where this show was not on TV because the writer's strike and whatnot, and like some other stuff that was going on. This show. So do you know the premise of this show?
I do.
Okay. So for anybody that hasn't watched it, again, I'm not giving anything spoilers away. And you can see in the R in Severance, it's kind of like cut in half. So basically the plot of this show is if you could be severed, what that means is like you could have part of your brain cut off from the real world. So if you had to go to a 9-to-5 job and you're working in a cubicle, it's basically like shutting off your brain. So these people have an innie and an outie. So their innie goes to work, and when they go off to work, it's like they're a whole separate person. That outie has no recollection of work. It's like they go to work, they go to bed, they live their lives, but they have no work stress, none of that.
And they have no recollection.
They have no recollection of work and none of that. So if that was a thing, this is a hard question to answer. If that was a thing, would you consider it?
Yeah.
I knew you would.
For sure.
I knew your answer would be yes. So let's just say, you own your own business and stuff, but let's say you were the 9-to-5, desk job, doing data entry or whatever. And you had the opportunity to say, you know what, I can go make money, but have no recollection of work, no stresses from work. And I can come home and just be like, so basically you're living a 16-hour day, but with no work or anything to worry about. So why not? Right?
Dude, it's going to be a possibility. Like that's not something that's far-fetched. Like
you don't think so?
No, not at all.
When it gets into the brain stuff, is that a little weird?
No, like in the show, they put some kind of implant that you get into the elevator, and when you get to work, your brain cuts off and you go into the other thing. So your recollection would be you being at home and then you being at home and vice versa.
Yeah. You're living your life or you're sleeping.
Think how torturous that would be for the other side of your brain to no matter what, like you think you're leaving work, but you're not leaving
work. That's a moral dilemma there. So basically that innie side is like, they're like hate to use the word slave, but they're like a slave at work. They're work, but it's your physical presence. It's your body, but you have no recollection of what happens at work. So
you carry 0 things from work into your home life. So you'd almost know, you don't even know that it exists.
Yeah. Right. So, let me ask you this. If you could sever one part of your daily life, whether that's like your commute to work or, having business calls or whatever, is there anything you think you would like to be severed from in your daily life? You could just flip it on, and then when it's done, it flips you back and it's like no time has gone away.
So I'm obviously going to pick the least enjoyable things of my day. And number one is commuting. Like you nailed it. Like driving places, having rage when people can't drive, and pooping. Like that's, it used to be you can dive into Reader's Digest and get some whatever, but now, so pooping and driving are my two things that I would just cut out of the whole day. Not enjoyable.
Okay, so obviously, like I'm not the first person to ask this question, but I heard someone say this unbelievable thing. They said, what about working out? You're forcing your one side. They're going to work out and they're working hard as they can. And then, but when you are done, you get the benefits of the workout, but you didn't have to go through any of that. Is that a good thing or bad thing?
Good.
Because you didn't have to go through the mental anguish, but is it softening you up? You're getting the results of the workout.
Like you flex up and you're like, where'd this definition come from?
Right.
Like I got abs. Like this is freaking awesome.
What's the hardest part of like working out? A lot of times it's just getting started, right? So, or
think if you're any though, like they leave the gym and they show up to the gym and like, fuck. How do you motivate them?
Like their whole life is just working out.
That's it. Which water
some
and
people would
out.
love. Some people would love that, but not necessarily everybody. So like there's a lot of things. Like so what if it was like, like you mentioned like with pooping, but what if you were a dog sitter and you had to just go clean up poop all day? You could be like clean off the thing.
Half of you would love it and half of you would absolutely hate it. It's like, oh, more dog shit. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Let's keep doing this.
Right. So there's that. What about like washing dishes or like cooking? Some people love cooking and like, it's like that's their thing. But what if it was like, I don't want to like get all the ingredients out, like cooking and then like washing the dishes and stuff. It's like, so what if you like flipped on a switch and then your innie did that, and then when you were done, is like just the meal's ready to go.
See, this reminds me of the movie Click, right? And it was there's a cautionary tale about skipping things that are mundane.
Yeah.
Right. When that ends up being the things that build you as a character. So how many people would break down when their innie is going to the gym and they're just reaping the benefits? Like there's some things that can go sideways.
Yeah. And I'm glad you used the movie Click, because isn't Christopher Walken in that movie too? So he is in the show as well. He's not the main character, but he plays an important role in this show. So think about that out there for anybody out there. What would you sever in your life? Like if you had to take one part of your life out of your daily routine, what would it be? Or maybe it's the whole thing.
Did you answer the question?
I would probably something mundane. Like mine would not be driving. I enjoy driving, and that's the time I listen to podcasts or music or whatever. So I enjoy that. But if I lived in like a big city and I had to sit in traffic or something, that would probably be it. Skip through that. Yeah. But yeah.
Not pooping though. Like I'm the only really one that doesn't enjoy pooping.
Probably.
Really?
I don't know. That's not a question I thought about. But I don't know. You're sitting down. Everybody's got to do it, right? So
get through it.
I guess
like
so.
It's just the deed, You think
there's plenty of things like I think about like I don't know, doing your taxes, or like I have somebody do my taxes.
That'd be a waste of the sever.
Like getting all that information together to take to your tax preparer. I don't know. That might not
pick something that occupies lots of time that you would not really prefer to go through.
Yeah, that's true. Like, yeah. Let me think on that one and we'll revisit this question. But I think that's a really philosophically interesting question. So
it's a cool show though.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
It is a really cool show. So Severance is one. If you're a Saturday Night Live fan, some people are, some people aren't, but this is the 50th year. They're having their special. That's actually this weekend, February 16th. So that's one. But one of my favorite shows on TV the past couple of years has been The White Lotus. And there's been 2 seasons on HBO. The first season, I think, was in Hawaii. Last season was in Italy. And then this season, I believe, is in Thailand. And they go to like these destination resorts. And Jennifer Tilly was not Jennifer Tilly. She was the Stifler's mom. Whoever plays Stifler's mom was like the main character in the first 2 seasons. Spoiler alert: she will not be on this season. But this is a great show on HBO, and it will come out this Sunday. So White Lotus is a good one. Have you seen the show Yellow Jackets?
Yes, I did see Yellow Jackets.
That is coming out this weekend as well. So Yellow Jackets took a very dark turn last season. So if you're not familiar with this show, Yellow Jackets, it's going to be season 3. And I'm not going to give much of the plot away, but basically it's a soccer team, a high school soccer team that's traveling to like nationals, and they're from New Jersey, I think, and they're traveling to like Seattle, but somewhere like over Canada, they crash and like they're nowhere to be found. So this is their survival to survive. And then they do survive, most of them, but it's like all the weird stuff that happens to them now because of that. So it's very, very interesting. So Yellow Jackets, definitely recommend that.
And I really like dystopian themes when it comes to movies. But you're right. Like once it plays out and it becomes the norm, then they go into those dark territories. Happened with Walking Dead.
And some shows can make it through that like weird, mundane, boring period, and they can survive that and get through it, and the show's even better. And other shows, it's just like this isn't for me anymore. So we'll see.
But some shows are able to do it well. Like you have Silo.
Yes,
like, that's another one.
I have not even watched that show yet.
Okay,
so that should be on my list. But I have not seen it yet.
But they did it right because they didn't go too fast through the scenario. And so like once it gets beyond point, you're kind of bought out by the dystopian part of it. What was that one that you recommended? Fallout Shelter. Fallout.
Fallout was a show that's like based on a video game.
Yeah, same thing there. Like you know, like it goes too far once you get beyond a point, but they did a good job at making it limited, so you haven't got too deep into the storyline. Like, what do you do? Like for the first year of the zombie apocalypse, like you know what you would do as a human being, but once like that becomes no longer like the comparison between regular life and whatever, it gets a little weird.
Well, in some shows too, like they want to make it a mystery box show, which is cool. Like that's how White Lotus is. But like Severance, there's a lot of mysteries in it, but they answer those questions usually every couple episodes. So it's not like this like 2-season long mystery because they keep piling on more and more like what ifs or like questions like that. So it's not this like 6-season. So it keeps the audience engaged. And because if you just keep kicking the can down the road and you never answer some of the questions, then I think you lose a lot of viewers.
So the epitome of that right there is Lost.
Well, Lost, a lot of what Severance is doing is based on Lost.
100%.
But from what I've heard, they're doing it a little bit better because Lost didn't answer a lot of those questions or kick the can down the road too far where they maybe lost some interest. But I don't know.
I watched every season, and the most disappointing show to be invested in because so many different writers, so many different plot lines, so many different themes. And like once you bought into the smoke monster, the polar bear or whatever, and you're like, oh dude, like I want to know what this is all about. And they just left you hanging forever on those moments.
I have to admit, I have not seen one episode of Lost.
Do not do it.
But I've heard so much of Severance is like, like an homage to Lost, but better.
I just hope that there's some continuity on the themes where they do explain, like you walk into a room and there's a guy, massaging lambs or something like that. And they tell you what the hell that's about because
there's some weird goat stuff in Severance. There's some weird goat stuff in Severance. Did
I say lambs?
Goats, either way, lambs, goats. Yeah. Oh,
I'm following the lamb theme for Lamb Stop.
Yes.
Like I carried that over.
But for anyone that go real quick, going back to Severance, it's like they put so much fine detail into that show. It's like if you're just watching casually, you might never, notice something. But like people that go back and rewatch that show and pause and look for the details, there are so many like hidden clues in that show. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's a great watch.
Like
it's a great watch.
The redhead, right? Season 1.
Her name's Helen and Helena. So it's her 2 splits.
Season 1, major attraction. Season 2, she's the terrible villain. Like I hate that they did that to me because that would have been my 4th introduction on the Super Bowl halftime show. Had I not be like, she's the freaking CEO. She's a faker.
complete your Super Bowl montage of brunette, blonde.
I don't even know who exactly. You gotta have one.
Helena Egan is her outside character, and then
but
Helly.
she's a jerk. And so if you, I want to save somebody from getting to like episode 3, and really buying into her. Because she's a jerk.
So if you watch Severance, this is a show that you will be very invested in these characters, and she plays a mysterious character, very mysterious.
I'm sorry, I forgot. No, I'm not supposed to do spoiler.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And you haven't given off a ton. So another one, if any Game of Thrones fans are out there, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. This is another prequel one. It's based on the George R.R. Martin stuff, but it's like the chronicles of, I believe it's Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire, which is Egg. So it's like Dunk and Egg. But it's like a novella that's based into this like short series. I think it's going to be 6 episodes. And I don't know how many seasons they're going to do, but this is supposed to be pretty good. And I'm not a book reader of this, like any of the Game of Thrones stuff. So I go in like kind of fresh. I don't know what's happening. So it's kind of cool because they can give you like little nods. If you love the Game of Thrones series, like the dragon one, the House of the Dragon, like they give a lot of like nods to what's coming and stuff. And it's pretty cool. So that one, The Last of Us, have you seen that one? That one's coming out. That one will be out in April on HBO, it's Max now, but that one, Stranger Things.
Looking forward to that one.
Can I tell you my pet peeve with what Netflix is doing right now?
Go ahead.
So Netflix, if you watch now, I'm not going to put it on this list, but The Karate Kid, Cobra Kai. So Cobra Kai, what they do with shows like that, what they do with shows like Stranger Things, what they do with shows like The Squid Game, they try to maximize their viewership. So Netflix, you can subscribe to for a month at a time, right? So what they do, they base their viewership on quarters and like how many subscriptions on like different quarters. So they have quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. So what they do is they split these shows onto different quarters. So like Squid Game. Squid Game was released right at the end of 2024 into 25. So they're trying to get people to buy in to watch those shows because what they do, they release them all at once. And I think it'll be interesting to see if Netflix goes to more of a week to week release to build up the kind of that.
Do you like that? Do you like binging or do you like separating?
I prefer week to week because it gives you something to look forward to. And I'm the kind of guy that likes to listen to other podcasts of like, what are other people thinking on this show? Because I like that, like, if I just binge watch it, I know I'm going to miss a lot of important details. So Stranger Things, the first like season, I just watched it was like a couple rainy days in the summer. I would just like crank it out like four episodes in a day or, 2 episodes in a day. And whereas if you're watching Severance, it's like every Friday it comes out. So like whatever day you can watch it on, you're watching 1 a week. Stranger Things, I think, would be so great if they did that like that. So what they do is they release them half on one quarter and half on another. That's what they did. So their earnings, and they can show their investors that, hey, our ratings are up this and this quarter. But that's because, like Squid Game, they cut the last part in half because they released it in December to show their 4th quarter earnings are up. Then they're going to release it again in June to show their 2nd quarter earnings are up. So smart business move, but not necessarily the best strategy for TV viewing.
But that anticipation is really, if you can do a well done cliffhanger that makes sense, that's not overplayed, it's the best.
So let me ask you that too. Yeah. Do you prefer the week to week or do you prefer the binge?
Yeah.
And I don't have time
the impulsive part of me loves binge watching. Like I really want to see what happens next. But the more practical side of me says that, like, wait, think about it.
Right.
Like, I'll appreciate it a little
and
bit
I'm
more.
not someone that like just sits around for like 4 hours and watches TV, too. Like who's got time for that and like whatever. But
I would. If you release them, like I would get addicted and I would want to know what happens next, and I would go way too far and have guilt.
But that scheduled viewing is so nice too, because it's like, I don't know, to me, it's like the build up to that episode. So I like that. If you're a horror fan and you like the It movies, Welcome to Derry will be that's coming out. Stephen King one, and goes on It. Now, Hulu, which is on Disney, if you have Disney Plus, Hulu, Paradise is a show. Now, this is like another show that James Marsden's the president, or I have not watched an episode of this yet, but it's on my list to watch because there's a lot of secrets about like, what does the president know? What does he not know? Stuff like that are pretty cool. The Bear season 4, again, I kind of lost a little bit of interest in season 3, but seasons 1 and 2 are bangers. I think season 4 will come back strong. And we ran out of time, Joe, but Squid Game, we're going to do this next week or maybe even Thursday. We'll either do it Thursday or next week, but I put together all the list of the Squid Games, and I want to see who thinks they can survive the Squid Games based on the game that is actually being played. Okay. So we'll do that next week. How about
cliffhanger?
That? So
like this
leave it on that.
Quarter. Yeah. Board of directors is gonna love that you populated the next quarter.
So we are aggregating content for next week. So we will do that. But so we'll leave it at that. We have plenty more. Like this could have been a 3-hour podcast today because I have plenty more to say, and I know Joe does too. So, but we will leave it at that. So for Joe, I'm Justin. We appreciate BJ doing what he does in the back. And make sure to follow Youngstown Studio, the 330 Sports Show, on the social media platforms, and we will talk to you guys soon.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us